everybody. Welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast, the official podcast of what we've always called the Tattoo Improvement Network, but we might start calling the Fireside Tattoo Network. What do you think about that?
That sounds fantastic.
Oh, don't patronize me. That's ridiculous.
I like them all.
Yeah. Well, you know, what we did is we hired a marketing agency, this is true, to promote our completely free show, because that's what every successful business does. So they go and spend money to promote something that makes no money.
Yeah.
And so that's
product.
that's what we did. And they said, I have no idea why one thing is called Tattoo Improvement and everything else is called Fireside. What's the relationship? And, of course, I said, shut your face.
Well, as you should.
As I should have.
They don't need to inquire about that.
Right. And then they said, why don't you call it the Fireside Tattoo Network? It sounds less generic than the Tattoo Improvement Network. So we've been tossing it around, the three of us here and Emily, and maybe we're going to do it. I even drew a logo or two. The three of us talked about it. This is the first time Adam's heard of it.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that.
He wasn't involved in that. He hasn't reached that status.
I would have voted it down anyway.
See?
So,
hey, did you happen to listen to Howard today? I got in the car.
I didn't.
Man, I got in the car for just 1 second and heard the funniest thing, but I won't go into it. So I go to right now. Go to tattooimprovement.com and sign up for our mailing list, and thumb us up on the things, the buttons that are right down here, and follow us on Facebook. You're grabbing boobs, aren't you?
No, buttons, links.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, those links. Sorry.
So today we're going to talk about something a little bit unique. I've been listening to the Exponential Wisdom podcast a lot lately. Have you listened to it yet? Well, it's just about exponential technologies and how they're going to affect your life. Exponential meaning that it doubles in power every 12 to 18 months or something like that, right? So then it doubles on top of its doubles on top of its doubles, and the next thing you know, it turns into this giant thing that eats us all, and that's what technology is doing.
Great. So we're just moving towards AI that will enslave us.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm all for that.
We were just talking about the finale to Westworld,
right? And
right?
that's
And so
it's fantastic.
Yeah. But
the show
was awesome. The finale was awesome.
Really cool.
Liked it.
Yeah, way cool.
So I thought that maybe we could talk a little bit about how technology has affected art in the last 10 years, maybe, if that. When did we start really drawing on when did the Wacom Cintiqs become such a big part of our lives?
I've had mine since 99.
Yeah, but yours is the thing where you draw here and it shows up there. Right. Yeah. But does it have the pressure sensitivity and all that stuff that
it does?
That the Cintiq has?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not so longer than that then. It's been happening for a long time.
Yeah. But you've got the really awesome Cintiq.
Yeah, and now Apple's gotten in the game, and I really want the new iPad that has. Now it's over.
Also, the Surface you can use.
The Surface, yeah,
has the same features.
Right, but way beyond that, let's get past just drawing on a screen and then printing it, and to what might happen in the future.
What might happen
with drawing? So let's talk about. If for those of you who haven't paid a lot of attention to this, virtual reality or augmented reality, the difference being virtual reality is where you're completely encompassed in a world that is not in front of you. You put it on, right? You put a headset on and everything is something else. Augmented reality is kind of like what Google Glass tried to do, and looks like I guess they failed. People didn't really get into it, but maybe they were ahead of their time. I don't know. But being some type of a wearable that one day will be a contact lens or something that won't necessarily be a wearable, but something you actually have, that won't be seen, where you're able to project things in your actual world that are indecipherable from the real world.
Indecipherable.
Yeah. So somewhere
that would be strange.
Yeah. So somewhere in between. This is from what Peter Diamandis was saying on Exponential Wisdom podcast. You guys should check that out. Somewhere between 4K and 8K, which we're at 4K right now, we are not able to tell the difference between, literally, if Scott and Sean, if Scott was standing here and Sean was projected, they would look just like that. You wouldn't be able to tell which one was projected and which one was real.
Are they actually here? Because I
Both
want
of
to
them,
make
as
sure.
far as I know, are here
Okay.
because I don't have a wearable on. You do,
Cool.
but I don't.
No, they're not. They're not here.
But so somewhere in that 4K to 8K range, we can't tell the difference. So obviously, if you just use your imagination a little bit, that could have huge implications on the art world, on the visual arts world, right? So,
Absolutely. In fact, have you seen that video where they're sculpting in VR world?
no,
Oh, that's way cool. I thought you would be.
I haven't.
I thought that you were going to talk about that.
No,
Yeah,
tell me
I
about
didn't-
it. What is it?
It's something I'm not sure. I think it's something online I saw, but it's like a. I don't even remember what company's doing it, but it's. I mean, this girl has the VR headset on, and she's drawing with light and doing a sculpture in front of her. So every mark is represented in space and stays there, and she's making a tree, and it's pretty wild.
So does it look like a pile of clay or something in front of her? What are you seeing?
No,
in
it
front
looks
of her?
like light. If you can imagine if you know you put your camera on a long exposure and draw in the air,
Yeah.
it's like that, but it stays there, and you can move around it and look.
And it's three-dimensional. She could
Yeah.
turn it and do whatever to it.
I suppose you could manipulate it once it's down, and then or erase a mark you don't like, or it'd just be like drawing digitally, but it's 3D.
You saw this on YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Not on Westworld?
No, it wasn't on Westworld.
You know what we need?
Although that would
One
be
of you
cool.
guys needs to always have a laptop in front of you. You know, on Joe Rogan's podcast, they start talking about something that nobody's seen, and then someone looks it up, and then they show it to everyone, and you go, "Oh yeah," but then all the listeners still have no idea. That's what we need to do. Yeah.
So we need to pause and go look at it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're listening to Joe Rogan, the Joe
Yeah,
Rogan Experience.
yeah,
You know,
right.
they'll be talking about something.
Yeah,
He'll be like,
he
"Hey,
does.
look that up," and then they'll look it up,
Right.
and then he'll be like, "Yeah, see, blah blah blah," and then I'm listening in my car, and I'm like, "This doesn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
It's not helping me at all." Yeah, that's all right. I still listen. So along those lines, like if we are able to, well, let's think about some positive effects of it. Here's something I was just thinking of the other day. Last week we were doing some drawing at your studio. We had the beautiful Sarah Frites modeling for us, and
Drawing right
yeah,
now.
and her drawing is right. My drawing of her is right over there, and I was thinking, like, if you had a headset that could help you to gauge things like shapes and values and colors, where, like, when I glanced at Sarah, I could see, like, the curve of her arm, and when I glanced back at my canvas, it might let me know some imperfections in my mark. You know what I mean? Now, that would be cool as, like, a learning tool, right?
It would. I think it would be only help you learn if you had it off while you began, and then turned
then
it
you
on
used it.
intermittently to help you shape. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, with voice recognition and all that kind of stuff, you could probably
Sure.
say, "Help, like, is the jaw right?" or something. You could like
Sure.
ask, and then Alexa would tell you, like, "No, the jaw is actually 33 degrees, and yours is 30."
That would be pretty crazy.
Don't you think that's something that the technology's probably already there?
It probably is. Yeah.
Why don't we invent that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. We're editing that out. So
Did you
that's
guys?
our idea.
Yep.
And if you use it, then we'll see you. So
Yeah.
just putting that out there.
Right. So that's
Disclaimer right here.
that's one way that I thought that I was thinking that, and then also from a value standpoint, like, you know, we're always talking about light darks and dark lights, and, you know, keeping values in families and all that kind of stuff, and that's something that should be easily recognizable by an augmented reality headset or Google Glass type thing that you could, like, glance and say, okay, is the shadow area of Scott's sweatshirt lighter or darker than, like, the dark side of his beard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should be able to make that calculation, and then you could. Now, of course, you can use this. So you can use that as a learning tool, or you can use it just to cheat.
Yeah, that's the thing. There would be a thin line between, you know, trying to use it to learn and then, oh, look at me. I just, you know,
Post it on your Instagram and
tracing in 3D augmented reality.
yeah. But so is that something that, like, so let's say in 10 years, this is probably something that we're going to see. Like, it'll be part of our lives, augmented reality, I think. And is that something that we'll see incorporated into like art schools if they're doing basic drawing classes where you can use it as a tool to help you to find like mistakes in your accuracy?
Maybe
Do you
in
think
some classes, but I can see traditional art, I guess, in my thought needs to
stay traditional?
stay, and then you can go on to drawing with VR,
Yeah.
on a later class or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I just wonder, like, things like our morals change as our perspective changes. Like,
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, as it becomes more and more common, then it's not really all that new anymore, and it's kind of just a tool that you've had for a long time, and you find ways to implement it and use it. Someone was talking about how, if you went back a couple hundred years, something like a heart transplant, which we see as, saving lives today, would be like dark magic that you would want no part of. If you brought it up like, hey, what if we pulled your heart out and put another heart in it? It'd be like, whoa, get away from me, freak.
It's still dark magic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
But you know what I mean? Like, your perspective changes whenever a technology is available and it helps you get better at something. Doesn't, like, over time, don't you just go like, meh, that's what we do.
Yeah. I've had this discussion with a few artists, but, like, I've been in classes where, I'm measuring with my thumb or something or a pencil to get different. And it's like, well, you got to use your eye to really, that's where it is, your eye. You can't, now you're, you can't check yourself. You got to know those, you got to just feel the measurements or something. But I'm thinking like,
is it called sight size or something like that?
Size, yeah.
I've heard artists completely shoot that down, where you're trying to you're using your pencil to measure stuff, and they're like, oh, no, I don't use that sight size method. What I do is blah,
yeah, but if you think about like sculptors, like back in ancient world, probably Rome or Greece, they used calipers, and you know what those are?
Uh-huh.
They're the little pinch-looking device where you go over to the model and you make a measurement, a nose or an eye, and then you walk over to your sculpture and make sure it's the same thing. So, I mean, I think human artists have been struggling with this idea for a long time. It's just a way to get accuracy.
Well, I guess it's just about what the end result. I mean, what's your goal? I mean, if your goal is always to get better at seeing something without using crutches or tools, then maybe you don't use that. But if your goal is to make the best piece that you can on that exact piece, then maybe you always use it.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, just still art down, it's about ideas.
Yeah.
So if, there's any means you can, for some artists, they're just, I guess more open to these new ideas, and getting to that end is less important than getting your idea across.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So sticking with that and moving forward, looking 10 years into the future, if we have tools available that make it easier for us to make artistic decisions that like really solve most of our problems for us, and like we're saying, say a headset that helps you to find angles or helps you to establish values or whatever, does it diminish the value of what we're doing? Isn't people's like mark making still their mark making? I mean, they still have to lay paint on the canvas in a certain way to represent it, right? So does it get translated through them anyways, and we still have unique art, and it doesn't make any difference? Or does that process, does that tool take away something important?
I don't know. Like you said, I think our outlook of art changes over time. So it's going to be interesting to see that. I mean, when digital painting first came out, I was like, no, I'm not looking at it. I'm not, that's just an abomination.
Yeah.
But, I've looked at digital artists and painters now where I'm like, holy moly, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't really care if he has 10 degrees of undo. It's still great.
Yeah.
He still made a great decision doing this passage this way and having this light do this. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, just because his tools were able to make it more effective and he was able to shine more light through it and make it look more more powerful. He still had to make the decisions to get it there, or she. I kind of feel the same way. I do agree. I was the exact same way. If you asked me a handful of years ago about digital painting, digital drawing, and when I first started looking at artists on YouTube, and they'd be like, how to paint a portrait in Photoshop. It's like, who gives a shit? You can scan the thing in and add a filter that makes it look like a impasto oil painting, and there you go. What's it? Like, you're not solving any problems. Yeah. But people have taken it, and they've really made some nice art from it. So
and there are some YouTube videos where you can really tell that the artist is, drawing from a reference. Without scanning it in and just using it as throwing a filter over it. Because they'll, sketch in a nose or something, and then a few stages later they have to grab the nose and move it over a little bit to get the proportions right. So you can tell they're really, using their own drawing ability to do it.
Yeah. But they're still making decisions to be able to, they're understanding the process and learning to use that tool so well because they put the nose in a layer where they can move it if they need to, and that took some forethought on the front end, you know what I mean?
Or you can select something and copy it and then move it over.
Oh, you're getting too fancy for me. I don't have that. I don't have the skills for that.
That's the Photoshop way.
No matter what layer it's in, you can do that.
You can just create a new layer with the new nose and then just move it over, and then.
Where does the nose come from? Oh, you just
the nose that you had before.
You just copy that nose again. Select it. Yeah.
Select it, paste, move it over,
put it where you want it.
Flatten it with the layer, and then,
Gotcha. And then you have to, clean the edges up so your old nose doesn't show past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I have done something like that before. All right, so since this is a tattoo show, let's talk about how this might affect tattoos. What if, we have this, say it won't be that long before we'll be able to project someone's finished tattoo on their arm. There's already an app that someone showed me the other day where you can basically draw a little smiley face or an X on your arm, and you can snap a photo of it, and you can choose from these pre-made tattoo designs, and you can drop it on your arm, and it looks fairly realistic. It's dropped on your arm. They were pretty simple designs, what I was looking at, but that way people can look and be like, hey, and they can move their arm around, and I don't know if that's true. I didn't see that much of it. Maybe you can't move your arm around, but whatever it is, you can. I'm just making shit up, but you can project a tattoo on your arm, and then you can be you can check with your friends and be like, "Hey, here's my new tattoo. Do you like it?" And when they say no, you can say, "Never mind. It wasn't a real tattoo. I was just checking with you." So if you're able to do that now, pretty soon we'll be able to show people what their tattoos will look like before we do them.
Sure.
And if that's the case, are we putting ourselves out of a job? Because are they even going to get a tattoo? Or will they be able to just project, when they're going to the concert, they could have throat tattoos, but when they show up at the bank, they could have no tattoos. You know what I mean?
Well,
what if you could turn them on and
off?
off?
So you're saying, I didn't think about that. So you're saying in certain environments they have the tattoos and others that
they don't.
So where's the switch? You just
I wonder how it interacts with other people. I mean, as this augmented reality becomes commonplace enough that you're able to project what other people see in you. You know what I mean?
That's
you're able to control.
Okay, so you're controlling with their augmented contacts. You can control what they see through their contacts?
Yes.
Wild, dude.
Yeah.
So what if they take the contacts out?
Oh, then they're going to see you for you. Yeah. Yeah, that's the downside to it.
Or you could have a tattoo that is not visible with regular vision.
And only visible through.
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what that is, but it's not a real tattoo. Because if you don't have any tattoos and the person isn't wearing augmented reality glasses, then you don't have any tattoos. But if they are wearing them, then you can have them see whatever you want them to see. So when you go on a job interview, all your tattoos, you could literally change. You could turn that feature off where people don't have the option to see you with tattoos. They only see you as you without tattoos.
Or you could really specialize it where only certain individuals can see the tattoo.
Yeah.
And it's a message to them.
Yeah. It can just change. maybe we're getting way deep now.
That's wild,
Yeah.
man. 10 years. Wow, that's
10
a lot
years.
in 10 years.
Yeah, I think that augmented reality is going to be a big thing in 10 years. You know, I guess it depends on how people adopt it. And some people are put off by the idea of Google Glass coming around and then like them kind of scrapping that whole thing. And people are like, well, if Google couldn't pull it off, then who can? But I feel like maybe they were just a little before their time, and people didn't want to wear, like, I still don't know that people really want to wear glasses with like a cyborg looking, you know, thing over them.
I think it was the design of the glasses in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they were a little
They
weird.
were strange looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to just make them in different styles.
Yeah, I think that's what if you look at like virtual reality or augmented reality hardware, like you can just pull up a Google image search and you can flip through and you can see tons of cool different designs.
Oh.
Okay. But maybe at some point like I was saying, it turns into just like contact lenses or you could just like glasses, you know, like you know, for fixing your vision, you could choose between contacts or wearable for the day. And then you get the same kind of results, and whatever stuff's going to be in front of you, you'll be able to like see how your stocks are doing or whatever, or if your team won the game.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
No.
This is on Netflix, but it's a British show. It's like Twilight Zone, but a lot darker. But there's one episode in the recent season that is, I guess. Yeah, I mean, they don't really say it, but you're assuming that everybody has contacts, because when you look at someone, it draws a circle around their face, tells you some information about them right up on beside them.
Yeah.
And then there's like a social media rating next to them.
Oh.
Which
tells how many followers or fans they have.
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. So it was really a comment about, you know, social media and how it really just kind of messes with your mind and makes you, you know, we're rating people, and it's like high school all over again, but in this worldwide, you know, internet system.
Yeah, yeah.
But the whole idea of the augmented reality with the contacts was interesting, because you can, you know, picks out faces, tells you who they are, where they, you know.
What you should know about them. Yeah, I think that's all. It'll all be connected. And then that raises another question as far as privacy and stuff goes. Because if literally everything that you see is being tracked or recorded, I mean, it doesn't get any more invasive than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about a system in China like that. Everyone would have some kind of social media rating that would affect everything they did. That was the thing about the show, is it affected everything you did. When you went to the grocery store, when you went and bought a plane ticket, your score affected what kind of rate you could get and all this other stuff, or what kind of house you could buy. It was crazy. It's really kind of messed up, but.
I could see that, and because even now with our network, we'll get like emails say about us being an online influencer, like a YouTube influencer. That's the term that they use, because I don't know, maybe they send it to everyone, but once we hit a certain number of YouTube subscribers, we started getting like what do you call it, like just inquiries about people wanting to partner with us with this or that, and they all call us influencers. And I always think, like, we're all influencers, right? I mean, everyone's influencing someone.
You just have a wider pool
and then some more importance is put on that. And yeah, you're right. If we already do that to celebrities, then if I were to meet you on the street and then it popped up beside your face that you had 400,000 Instagram followers because you were a pulp cover painter or whatever, then suddenly I start treating you a little bit differently, because maybe I have a novel I need a cover for, or maybe I'm an artist trying to get a start, or so. Yeah, I mean,
maybe
I'm sure that's inevitable.
Maybe it's just, you know, a new way of because, you know, when you go to a party and talk to somebody, it comes up what you do, and what you know, but you have a better control over how you present yourself. And I think that's a big part of, you know, being social animals, is that you can present yourself. You don't have to, you know, you can augment your own reality by telling them a few small lies about your life, and maybe they'll listen to you a little more. But if your profile's sitting next to you, you can't say anything like that. You can't really make your own story, you know.
Right. You can't be like, yeah, I'm single. They're like, no, I'm looking at a picture of your family right beside your face.
Or, you know, let's say that you know, you're in a profession where you want to get more work, but you have your portfolio, your resume is not as impressive on, you know, in words as the way you're presenting yourself, but you need that edge to get into whatever it is that you want this new job.
Yeah.
But and you want to say, and just, you know, push your resume a little more, and just kind of, you know.
But on the flip side of that, if I'm the employer and you're bringing me a resume, I don't want your interpretation of the resume. I want to see what it really is.
Well, what if you want this person to take take a chance on you, and maybe down the line they're glad they did. But if they had looked at your resume and they
never would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's gonna get hairy.
It's gonna get way hairy. I think people are just gonna hack into their profiles next to their faces, or something.
People have multiple Facebook profiles or whatever. Anyways, they're just gonna be able to select the one that they want. I don't know. We have no idea what's gonna happen. It's gonna get super complicated. I do think that there's a possibility that we're gonna put ourselves out of the job as tattooers, though, because if we can project tattoos on ourselves in the right place, because I can't tell you how many people, and I'm sure a lot of tattooers watching the show know friends and family that are like, oh, I've always wanted a tattoo. I just never knew what I would want for the rest of my life, or I just can't think of anything that I want forever, or I haven't, my job won't let me, or there's always a reason. But then when those reasons go away, then suddenly it's like, wow, everyone can be tattooed now.
Sure.
When they want to. And then whenever that majority starts to do that, the people who are diehard tattoo people that like the experience or whatever, they start to realize like, well, maybe I don't always want this tattoo. Maybe I like designs from 25 different artists, but I don't have enough room for all those. What if I could switch them all out whenever I wanted to? Then they start to find the appeal in that, you know?
That would be cool.
Yeah, except for we go broke. Maybe we'll make money drawing designs and, you know, and licensing them to people to use.
I was thinking when you were talking about projecting onto like a body, then there's a machine that just can.
Yeah, I've seen that like the 3D printing kind of, or 3D tattoo machine where people put their arm. I don't see that being. As someone that's fought to get ink and skin for 20 years. I know computers are going to get smarter than us pretty soon. They're already real close, if not there. But there is something to making a mark, analyzing it, realizing that it's not going in the way that you want, changing the voltage, changing the angle, changing the direction that you come at it from, changing the motion slightly. There's so many variables that machine would have to be. It would have to be making some crazy calculations. Not that they won't. I'm sure it can happen. But that's not. I think before that happens, people will just project tattoos on themselves and not even worry with the actual tattoo process. That's if I have to have a prediction. What is today? December the 5th, 2016. That's my projection. Whenever you see this in 2026, then we'll know if I'm right or wrong. But I think that before 3D like tattoo or like machine tattooing comes in, we'll have people that just don't even get. People just won't get the actual tattoo. They'll just project the tattoos on themselves.
Well, I'm thinking, where is it projecting from? If they're able, I mean,
through other people, because augmented reality is going to be. We're going to use it for everything. So, like, let's get outside of the art world for a second and say that we're baking a cake. And instead of going to YouTube or pulling up your iPad, like screens, there'd be no use for screens. The world is your screen. Mm-hmm. So people are buying 4K curved TVs. They're paperweights. Your nicest monitor, your cell phone, anything with a screen is gone. It all is like whatever you want to be. Like if we want this entire wall to be our movie screen, we literally project the parameters, set them the way that we want, and we see it in ultra 15K without having a thing to look at. And so when that becomes, and so let's say you're baking a cake. Let me go back to that. I'm in the kitchen And instead of having like eggs and crap on my hands and trying to scroll through my iPad to see or zoom in or see whatever I need to do next, the augmented reality sees what I see, and it says, pick up that egg, and it points an arrow at it, and it says, crack it in here, and it says, whisk for 30 seconds. And then it's watching me whisk, and it goes, that's enough. And then it says, see that sugar? Get 1 cup of it or whatever. And it's literally seeing everything you see, makes a decision there on the spot, and does it for you. You will be able to like change the brakes on your car without having to research it, or change the motor on your dryer, or operate on a dog. Like I was talking with our vet this weekend. Like when we were at a drinking party with a beer party with our vet happened to be there. And we were talking about this augmented reality, a beer party. You should have been there
with your veterinarian.
It wasn't his beer party. He just happened to be there. And so I was talking about this augmented reality, and I was like, hey, if there was something telling me step by step how to perform a procedure on an animal, because he does a lot of pet surgeries, like, do you think I could physically do it? And he was like, oh, absolutely. If there was something that was telling you exactly what to do, you could go through. You could remove a tumor.
That's pretty cool. But I mean, the next step, though, when you were talking about a projected body of tattoos, I mean, what exactly is happening? Are you scanning in your whole form, and the computer has an avatar of you, and it's projecting these things on the avatars, and it moves with your body or something like that?
Yeah, I guess I see it as marking, as more like having anchor points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that an image is designed to your body, and it marks 3, like Pokemon Go, that knows that there's a Pokemon at this point on Google Maps or whatever, and every time you go to it, it's right there. It does that with multiple points on your body, and so every time you turn, it sees where that image is supposed to sit on that plane.
Sure.
And it makes that transition for you.
Okay.
That's my guess. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm just
talking. I mean, that sounds plausible. I mean, sure.
Yeah. Now the big question to me is like, are you able to project everything that other people see on you?
Well, maybe it's like a download. Like they come up to you, and it's downloaded into whatever their gig, hard drive is on their body. Yeah. And then it's,
Then they see it. They're not even seeing you at all at that point. Really, they're seeing some downloaded version of you.
I mean, you could really play with that. Even it's not just tattoos. You could just change your face, and it'd be totally different. And avatars, right?
Man, crazy stuff.
So it's a virtual kind of avatar thing.
I'm excited to be part of it. I'll be honest. I don't know that it's going to be good. I really don't. I mean, I think that we'll go through some crazy transitions along the way, but this age of technology, I can't think of a time I would rather be alive. Can you?
Yeah.
When?
It's like Midnight in Paris, the Woody Allen movie. I just want to be back in the 19th century and painting with, impressionists and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. Of course, I can do without the diseases and the...
there were trade-offs, I'm sure.
Anyway, but maybe we can have augmented reality where it's, that time period.
Absolutely. You got it. I'll serve that up to you as soon as I figure out how to program these things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
10 years or next month? Or
yeah. I think I'm going to say 10 years. I have no idea. I listen to one podcast about technology, and then I just talk like I know a lot of stuff. I know absolutely nothing. I barely reboot my computer. As a matter of fact, Scott, this thing is broken. I need you to look at it if it's possible. But I'm really interested to see what the comments are on this episode. I really am. Okay, and I hope you guys do like
you dumbasses.
Yeah,
you don't even know.
Get outside of yourselves and think about the possibilities and bring some crazy ideas that we didn't even think of. And then we're all going to get together, write the code. Scott's good at computers. We're going to make it happen. And then we'll be billionaires. We won't worry about it.
I think what we really need is someone good at computers.
That's what we have. Good at computers, right there. It says it on his T-shirt, I'm sure. All right.
Well, we're in.
Yeah. It's a home run for us.
I think that's the name of the program at the university. Good at computers.
Yeah. I think so. All right. Fine. Do we have anything else to say about that?
You people good at computers, get on it.
Yeah, get on it, and make sure we're not out of a job. Like if we don't get to actually put tattoos in skin anymore, we have to have some other way to feed our families. So maybe we could license our tattoo designs to be projected, and then we get, pennies for every hour that they're projected. And it turns into like a Spotify kind of thing where, like, next thing you know, we get a check from the augmented reality company. It's like $2.5 million. Like, sweet, that design's really popular. It's because I put an owl and a mandala in it, which I did last week.
What?
Yeah, I did. Whenever I did this tattoo last week, and the tattoo is fine, but it was like, as soon as I laid it out, it's an owl with a mandala behind it, and the owl's real stylized, and the mandala is a mandala. And as soon as I was like laying the thing out, it's probably the least amount of work that I put into a tattoo drawing, because I don't draw mandalas. I download them and like make the stencil and do whatever. And I instantly thought, like, this will be my biggest Instagram post of the year because of these elements. It's like the bird to the or like the feather to the bird silhouettes or whatever. And sure as shit, it's like the biggest thing that I've done in 6 months. Like, man, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. So,
well, I feel like any craft, when technology kind of comes along and says, well, now we can print paintings and, stuff like that. People are still going to want to go back to the original art and want a handcrafted something. I mean, it's just going to always be around, I feel like.
I think so. No matter what, people want to go back. Like, when we were in Italy for the Venetian gathering, I couldn't get my mind off of this, like, leather paintbrush pouch that rolled up that this guy, like, handmade in the back, and he had all these hides, and he was drying them, and he was cutting them out. Like, there's something about that, like, really, I don't know, like, tactile, kind of hands-on, handmade versions of things that will just never go away. And I think it'll ebb and flow like everything else. It'll get super far to one side, and then people will really want to drive back to, like, really tangible things. So, yeah, I think so. Hey, leave a comment on this video, and especially if you know something about augmented reality. Don't say, Jake, you're a dipshit and you don't know anything about augmented reality. I realize that. I'm just saying, I'm throwing ideas out, and then you make them sound smarter, right? Or shoot them down. I don't care. But add something. Don't just say I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Or that
doesn't
your
help anyone.
Tattoo gun looks like a dildo.
We already know that. Yeah, don't say exactly. Don't say I tattoo like a dildo or whatever. Somebody on that dildo episode was like, said it was would actually, I forget the exact words he used, but said it was with all due respect, because we were talking about at least started with all due respect. He was like, with all due respect, it'd be a vibrator, not a dildo.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.